I just want to say a massive thanks to the Green Room here in JBay for having us to host this podcast, and also to African Perfection for having me whenever I'm in JBay, right on Super Tubes. You got to check it out. All the links will be down below. And also a big thanks to my sponsor, Seasick Threads, the best board bags out of Australia, and to my associates over at Wavescape, legends. What triggered your love of surfing? I need you to really go back in time in your filing system. Can you remember that first moment, or that influence that may have been in your life that made you go, I love the ocean?
That was, I think it was instilled in me through my father, who was a ski boat fisherman when I was young. And he actually used to fish with Errol Hickman's father.
Oh, wow.
So we got to know each other. You know?
Up in Natal?
Yeah, in Durban. Yeah, I grew up in Durban. And I'll never forget going to the beach and listening to the ocean and feeling it, you know, and just fell in love with it. And I was born in Addington Hospital, and grew up right on the beach. So I think the natural progression was in the water. You know?
Ocean.
Fishing, watching the older guys surfing.
Or fetchies there?
The whole 9 yards there. It was magic.
Yeah.
And that's how we started. You know?
So you probably started surfing at Addington Beach, eh?
Addington, that was it.
That's it.
Right down at Grammy's.
That's where I learned to surf.
And Vetchies and all of those little spots. And still today, I mean, Addington today, if you know when to go.
It's got a lacquer little wave.
Insane, yeah. It really is, yeah.
Very lacquer, especially on a log, you know. You can have good fun there.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. And so now you grew up in Durban, strong influence from your father. Obviously, he was a seaman and a fisherman. When did you first decide that have you always been a shaper, or did you have any other career?
Just from those early days, watching the older guys surf.
Yep.
I mean, they used to fall off their boards. No leashes in those days.
Okay.
We'd grab a board, paddle it out to them, and that was it. I don't think it was a conscious thing. It was just, we're going to surf. It was just a natural thing, really. You know?
Was wetland in the water in those days?
Oh, yeah.
Max?
Yeah, all of them, yeah.
Yeah.
They were young guys then.
And Sean's dad?
And
Sean Thompson's dad?
Sean's old man was around, yeah, and there were some characters in those days. But yeah, you know, I think the ocean was just a natural thing for us. That's that's what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And as far as the shaping side of things, I think it was also just a natural progression. You know? And we didn't have a lot of money in those days. And, you know, the only way to get a new board was to go and make one. So we used to do that. A couple of devious ways, but we got there.
You don't want to share one of those devious ways. Not really. Pizza.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was everybody used
Okay,
to.
so you started shaping from a very young age?
Yeah.
Okay. How long have you been shaping for?
Well, as far back as I can remember, we were tinkering around and stripping boards, and I think that says a lot about how we started. And
I know you're only 42, but I mean, so you've been shaping for 30 years.
For 30 years, yeah.
No, much longer than that. I reckon over 40 years you've been shaping.
Yeah, I'd say so.
At least.
Yeah.
Did you know the Maish boys down in Toti?
I know them very well. I knew Peter, their father, very well. And, you know, back in those days, we used to have the SA champs here at Supers. So the whole gang was here. And they would have meetings about board pricing and all of that sort of stuff. And Peter was always the guy that says, I'm not interested in what you guys do. I live on the farm. I do my thing. You carry on. You know? He was such an individual. He was a classic.
I've visited that farm. Well, I call it a compound. It's like a proper compound. And I was saying to one of the other shapers who's such a clean shaper, he keeps his bay so clean. I said, sure. It's like a polar opposite to the Maish compound, where you've got equipment lying there that's
everything everywhere. Yeah.
Everything everywhere, and within the chaos comes the good stuff, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, everybody's got their own style of working.
Yeah.
I just like to, mine's pretty neat. I get ragged about it now and again. But I like
that's
to
who you
know
are.
that
Yeah.
if I need a pencil, that's where it is. You know? Everything's got its spot.
That's it.
So we're all different.
And if we were all the same, the world would be a very boring place.
Boring.
Exactly.
Totally boring, yeah. Totally boring. And
No.
everybody's got their own styles and their own opinions, and yeah, it's great.
It's good. Yeah. It's good. It's good to have your own opinion as long as you respect other people respect each other's opinions. There's nothing
Exactly.
wrong with having them, right?
Exactly. And it's just life in general. I think.
And it's just good vibes. All right. So, shaping, early days in Durban. You know all the old boys. So you were competitive surfing at one point.
Yes. Not when I was very young.
All right.
We were just too busy having fun. You know?
Yes.
All the guys up at the bay. Mind you, we used to surf at all those places.
Yeah.
We surfed basically everywhere. And we were locals from South Beach, Addington, but we used to surf everywhere. And I only started surfing when I was in my late 20s, really.
Oh wow.
Competitive surfing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we started going to trials and getting in the team. My first essays was here in '86.
Okay.
And it was shortboards. And yeah, they were good days. We were still allowed to surf at Supers. Contest was unbelievable. 4 people in the water. You know?
Crazy.
But there was no one here at the time. So
Yes, that was a very
it
different
cool.
place. And how was the competitive surfing arena for you back in those days? Obviously, completely different to what it is today, I dare say.
Yeah, look, I think then it was so much harder to get your colors, especially in Natal.
Yes.
Surfing was so strong. I mean, the clubs were so strong, and your club had to enter you into trials if they thought you were good enough. You know, it wasn't
Gotcha.
just like a free for all. You know,
Yes.
so it was really you had to surf hard to get your colors, and you're proud to wear them. So
So what club did you represent?
we were the Natal Surf Riders Association. Oh,
Okay.
the club.
Yes.
No, we were down at DogTown.
Okay.
Because when the
DogTown,
DogTown thing was happening in California,
Yes.
it was happening here too. Because we had Gary Stephen and Gary Smith
Yes.
were the 2 professional skaters in the country. They got flown all over the country doing demos and stuff like
Okay.
that. And then the world champ at the time, Chris Chappett, came out here and he toured with them. No, we were doing the whole DogTown thing down at Addington.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you? Were you skating as well?
Skating, surfing,
Okay.
all the sort of all the
Alternate
battles.
dudes.
All the battles. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just having fun, having a blast, you know.
Yeah. Didn't live in the leafy suburbs of Berea.
And we had our surf club down there.
Yes.
It was alive and well. And we've had about 5 reunions already over the years. And it's like 100 people, you know.
Amazing.
Really, it's something.
So you guys were watching. You guys obviously knew about the Dogtown and Z Boys and that
Yeah.
happening in California, and you were kind of like following that ethos and kind of
Actually, it wasn't that the guys were following what they were doing. We were doing similar
Doing
things
your own
at the
thing.
same time.
Okay.
You know? And it just
Interesting.
happened to, I mean, the only connection you had was surf magazines, really.
yes, yeah,
And when a surf magazine came out, it was sort of, you know, hey, this is happening there too, you know.
amazing,
So
like a
the-
parallel universe.
So the Dogtown thing was picked up and just, yeah, very strong. Even today,
Yes.
people associate themselves with Dogtown. Remember Dogtown in the day and stuff like that. So it was quite a thing.
Amazing. Okay, so Dogtown, you guys were, and were you always seen as like the misfits in the Durban scene?
Sort of. It was the rougher side of town, you know.
Okay, yeah,
We were from this side of the river and they were from that side of the river.
okay,
And when they did venture down to our side, you know, sometimes the bay in those places was way too big. They were having an event or a contest or something. They'd come down to South Beach or Addington, down to the pump house and surf down there.
yeah.
But they were always very wary and very cautious when they came down there. It was actually quite nice.
Lekker.
We sort of related more to the Bluff boys than
Okay,
the town boys, you know,
interesting. Yeah, because it's just over the
hump.
over the ridge there. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I mean the Bay of Plenty Club was quite a, like the sort of the wealthier crew.
Well, it was the boys.
Yeah.
But we we fitted in there well. We knew all the guys.
Okay.
Knew everybody. We surfed with all the guys. And
Yes.
everywhere we went, we'd bump into them, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause we used to surf the bluff a lot. Cave Rock was our favourite spot. And
With Uncle Rudy.
and Greenies, yeah, Rudy. Knew Rudy and Brad Cawthra from the early days. The three of us used to surf together regularly there.
Wow. Would he phone you from the ticky box and say, boys, the
No.
rock is
We
firing?
used to find work from the ticky box. Can't make it today, I'm sorry, but baking in the background.
But who let you know that it was firing? You must have had a spotter
Oh,
or
you just
somebody.
read the weather.
Yes. Okay.
You could
Cool.
see the swell, you could do everything.
Yeah. Because we're talking pre-WhatsApp days, yeah, guys
Oh, yeah,
and girls.
totally.
Instagram wasn't even a thing. Never mind cell phones. So Hugh, when did you? Okay, so you surfed. What labels did you shape under when you were in Natal? What were your?
My own,
Yes.
in the beginning, I just used my name.
Okay.
But then with surfing being so in the amateur bracket in those days, I wasn't allowed to surf. I wasn't allowed to endorse a product with my name. Otherwise, I was deemed a professional. So I used my middle name, Marshall.
Okay.
And I had Marshall Performance Surfboards. And no one knew any better, so I just ran with that. And then Gins and Errol Hickman and Neil Wainwright and John Plater, Bowie, in Cape Town, he lives in Cape Town now, they started Natural Curve.
Okay.
And Gins and Errol took it to a commercial level. And eventually they went their own ways overseas. Errol was with Stussy, and Gens went on the world tour as a judge on the world tour for donkey's years.
Mm-hmm.
And it just lay dormant. And I was shaping for Kevin Colby at 42, surf in Durban, and Gens walked in one day. And we started speaking about Natural Curve, and he said he wouldn't. There's nothing he'd like better than to have Natural Curve revived, you know. And that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because we used to skate for them back in those days. And well, Gary, the Gary skated for him. I surfed for Natural Curve in those days. So I did a search on Natural Curve. It wasn't registered. So I registered. I spoke to Errol and them about it. And I've had it ever since.
Amazing.
And Kids is very stoked.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first board was a Lamont, where I learned to surf at Addington, and then my second board was an EHD or Errol Hickman. And yeah, he at the time I think was mentoring Vaughan McKink.
Yes. Yeah.
Remember Vaughan? And
Rogers.
and that was when Graham Smith and Geordie was barking Geordie into waves at New Pier when he
Correct,
was,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think McKink was with Smith as well for a while.
Yes, they worked together with.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the name of the label that they were doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very interesting times, you know. And everybody sort of. I worked with a lot of guys in those days. I worked with Spider a lot because we were in the printing industry,
Okay.
and most of the guys that were in the board building industry were printers, simply because we could work at night. We'd work a night shift and shape during the day and go surfing.
Wow.
So our night shift was like at 3:30 in the afternoon to midnight, and it was right up our alley. So that's where we started.
That's
I
amazing.
worked at Safari a lot with
Yes.
Heinzie and Spider, and I worked with Peter Daniels. I did a lot of work for Peter Lawson. You know, we all sort of worked together.
Yes. Yeah.
And fed off each other and learned.
Amazing.
And even Mark Spowett. I sold him his very first planer back in the day. I was working
Really,
at Safari at the time, and he was in there constantly watching. And then he said to me he wants to start shaping, but he's got nothing. And I had an old planer. I sold it for him for $100, I think. And off he went.
It's interesting that you say that about there was a time when a lot of you guys were kind of like working together, you know, and we're talking like sort of the 80s and early 90s here,
Yeah.
I dare say.
Yeah.
And yet of late, and I don't know if this is a Cape Town Natal thing, but I've spoken to some shapers who've been like the newer, younger, up-and-coming shapers who've tried to get someone to mentor them or help them out. They've actually found it quite challenging Why do you think that is?
You know, I've been asked the question a million times. Why don't I take someone in and get some of the knowledge out there, you know, to someone else? We're not going to last forever. And it's very difficult. You know, youngsters today really don't want to work hard. And it's hard work. It's a labor of love. You're never going to get rich off it. And I mean, I spend tons of time at work. I do repairs, I shape, and I do it all myself. Simply because it's easier, it's quicker, and I don't have the time to stop and show people what to do. And these days, I mean, you show someone what to do, even if it's a repair. In a week's time, he's left, he's opened up next door to you, and he's your opposition. You know, there is very little loyalty today. The guys are just looking for an in for themselves and to hell with everyone else. And but not only that reason, I enjoy working on my own. We had a big factory in Durban. Our last factory in Durban was pretty big with staff, and we were exporting boards, and we were basically wholesaling and working for nothing. And I just canned it. I couldn't take it anymore. It's too much work for too little return. And
You're losing the joy of shaping.
I wanted to come live in JBay and surf. So the rule now, living here, we do our work. When there's no waves, there's nothing else to do. You work. When there's waves, you put the sign up on the door, go on surfing, and
you're surfing.
Off we go. Yeah.
And Hugh is always in the lineup. You cannot mistake Hugh when he's on his board. You've got a certain style about you, Hugh. And whenever I've been down there to Point or even Tubes, Hugh's often in the water. So it's exactly that. When the surf's on, the work is off. Yeah. But when it surfs off, the work is on.
I mean, Supers is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't turn your nose up, but you have to go.
So going back to what you were saying about, these youngsters just, trying to jump on, there's definitely, a big difference between when you were with your zodiac of the shapers that you described in Durban. There's definitely a much more of an influx of people thinking, hey, I can just become a shaper overnight and I want to be a shaper and I buy into this whole shaping lifestyle. But they're also forgetting that it's graft, it's proper graft, and it's 10,000 hours to become an expert, right, at anything in life. And that is a long, long time in the bay, working it.
Exactly. And you've got the machines, you've got the computer. And most of these new shapers, if you gave them a blank and a planer, seriously wouldn't be able to shape your surfboard. Most of their boards,
they'll scrub off the machine.
They'll clean them up.
Yeah.
They cut so close. But even a guy like Peter Daniels, his cuts on the machines, which I've taken a cue off, are very basic.
Yeah.
The model is very basic. The basics are there. The rails are square. You shape that surfboard, And that's why we do it, because we love shaping. And I think if it was like a sausage factory, it just would take the joy out of it.
Yeah.
For us, anyway.
No, for sure. That explains it. So when did you move to JBay?
I'm in my 7th year now.
Okay.
And my first trip here was in '68. And once, twice, 3 times a year since then I've been here. I stayed the whole of '84, which is a great year. It was the year Aki won the contest here.
Yep.
And I was here for 12 months. And why, I don't know, went back to Durban, but we're back.
You're back.
Yeah.
And you're part of the JBay community. Have they sort of, I don't see why they wouldn't, but I mean, you seem to be part of the community, and they've welcomed you as. Yeah.
Yes.
Or was it tough times for you here?
That sort of thing also takes time.
Yes.
And you have to come in humbly and respectfully, and earn your stripes. Everything takes time. I mean, paddling out at Super. No names mentioned, but greet someone and they turn their back on you and paddle away from you, and it was ongoing until it changed, and you actually got a greeting back, and you started filtering in. But it's definitely all about respect.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything, you know. It's the law of gravity is that, you know, if you jump out that window, you're going to hit the road, and that is a law of gravity.
Absolutely.
And that law is in place for a reason. It keeps us on this earth, and it's the same goes for surfing. You know, there's etiquette in place for a reason.
Always has been and always will be.
Exactly.
Especially at iconic places.
Yeah.
And it has to be that way. And like, look, as we said earlier, everyone's different. Everyone thinks differently, and you know, you don't have to scream and shout about things. But it's nice to talk to people about it, and a little bit of education goes a long way, because there's a lot more people surfing these days.
Yeah.
And they come in totally blind. They've never been schooled. They've never been spoken to about it.
Yes.
So yeah, people need things explained to them nicely.
Yeah, educated a bit more, and they do.
Education is everything, in
Yeah, exactly.
all walks of life. Eh?
And I think that's where we can improve. I mean, it's a good and a bad thing. The good thing is for shapers like yourself, more people want boards, and it
Yes.
provides you with an income and a living.
Yeah.
That's the good side of it. The not so good side is when you have, as you say, people coming in, they don't understand the etiquette and the lineup. They just pull in and they feel as if they are entitled.
Entitled, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's quite a strong buzzword at
But
the moment.
you can understand it to a degree. I mean, a lot of travellers, they've saved up their whole lives to come here. Well, they've only seen it on movies and magazines, you know.
Yes.
And they get out in the water and they're absolutely frothing, but they have to remember that means you paddle out a pipe and paddle on the inside and see what happens.
Yeah, I know.
You're not going to last.
You're not going to last.
You're not
very
going to
long.
last very long. No.
Yeah, and in the early '90s, Johnny Boy Gomes used to be the enforcer when it came to to the North Shore.
We saw Johnny firsthand. Yeah. It was
Have
quite,
you
entertaining.
favorite other than JBay? Favorite surf destinations?
I must say, Hawaii was unbelievable.
How many seasons have you done there?
I went 3 times,
Okay.
and it was phenomenal. Absolutely unbelievable. Better than it ever looks on the movies and in the mail.
It's
and
Mecca,
stuff. It's
basically,
just
to surfers.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not big all the time. You know, when it got big, it was nice, it was fun, it was challenging. But some lovely small waves, and all over on the west side. Even in Honolulu, we had some great times there.
Yeah.
But the North Shore of Oahu was good. It was really good. Got to surf Sunset, very good. Even got to surf Waimea. And,
Very cool.
Yeah, it was good. Myself and Titch surfed there,
Nice.
Titch Ball. And it was enjoyable. It was good.
That's cool. Are you goofy or natural?
Natural.
Okay. So you were on your backhanded pipe.
Yeah.
Did you bag any? Did you bag anything?
We didn't. Well, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't surf pipe very big at all. I mean, you can't go claim, we surf pipe sort of thing. But I had some memorable waves of backdoor, and Sunset was great.
All time.
That
Yeah.
was great. Yeah. So
Awesome.
really nice.
So all the links for Hugh's Instagram and Natural Curve surfboards will be down below. So please, if you want to show him some love, order a new board.
Life for us has been all about surfing. Very little else. I mean, I've had a family. I'm divorced. I've got 3 kids, and been through that whole thing.
Yeah.
And but surfing's always been there, and we've always competed for our province and met a lot of people. Every year we used to have the contests when we got into the longboard thing
Yep.
in different centres, Cape Town, East London, all over the place. And
Yeah, you won last year's longboard champs. Didn't you?
here
At
I won
Point.
the old guys here.
Yeah, you
The Point.
you took the Bali Cup.
And
You can still walk a longboard.
I hadn't surfed in one for ages. I just had enough of that stuff.
You
And,
did well.
Last year was at home. It was great. It was really nice. Yeah, so when we talk, it's about surfing.
Yeah.
But Jeffreys is a lovely town. There's some great people here. Really
Yeah.
are. And diverse people. Everybody that's got different opinions and different outlooks on things and tackles things in different ways. But at the end of the day, we're all surfers, you know. We've got the same basic things in mind.
Yeah.
And the attraction is there. And that's